Happy Thursday and welcome to Mystical Awakenings right here on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, the place to make contact and stay connected. We're so happy to be here tonight. I do want to say that we love our producer, Bill Forte. He's an amazing, amazing person. But we also love his mom, Mama Forte. And I want all of you to vote that we want to interview his mom on the air. So put your vote in, let us know, let Bill know. He's saying, oh God, I hate you, Deb. We would so love that. We would so love that. She's amazing. So anyways, we have a really good show for you tonight. One of everybody's favorite people, because he's so awesome. So I'll let RJ introduce him.
Well, tonight's guest is, first and foremost, a friend. And we love him and enjoy him immensely. But I think you got to scroll up a little bit on that. Yes. Okay, so let's get going. Tonight's guest, Reverend Michael Carter, has written articles on UFOs and religion for such publications as UFO Magazine, Alien Encounters, a British publication, and the MUFON UFO Journal. He has spoken at UFO conferences such as the Edgar, Cayce, ARE Ancient Mysteries Conference, Contact in the Desert, and the International UFO Conference in Scottsdale, Arizona.
And the Michigan UFO Contact.
Yes, the Michigan UFO Contact Convention right here in Houghton Lake. Reverend Carter has also appeared on Japanese television discussing the Bible and UFOs. A longtime UFO experiencer, he lectures extensively on the topic of religion, spirituality, and UFOs. He has appeared on the Sci-Fi Channel Steven Spielberg's production of Abduction Diaries, The Real 4400, and is a frequent guest consultant on the History Channel's production of Ancient Aliens, as well as UFOs, The Hidden Evidence, which currently airs on the Travel Channel. He has also been interviewed by Academy Award-winning actress Shirley MacLaine, George Norrie's Coast to Coast AM, Beyond Belief on Gaia TV with George Norrie, and Late Night in the Desert with Heather Wade. Reverend Carter's books are entitled Alien Scriptures, Extraterrestrials in the Holy Bible, A New World If You Can Take It, God, Extraterrestrials, and the Evolution of Human Consciousness, God Consciousness, a 30-day meditation manual to God-centered thinking, and his latest work is Metaphysics of Spiritual Healing and the Power of Affirmative Prayer. His latest book, Initiation, which I think we'll talk about tonight, The Spiritual Transformation of the Experiencer, was published in August 2021. He's also appeared on some recent news shows. We'll get into that too. We talked about that today. So you can get all his books found on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. So let's welcome our guest, Reverend Carter. How are you?
Hey, brother. How are you? Hey, Deb.
Good, Michael. So nice
Here we
to
are.
see you.
That's quite the accolade.
One day closer to spring, I hope.
Yes, we are.
Spring is
Brutal.
coming. It's coming. You know, every time I see your bio, I think this is why people have to read your bio to introduce you, because it's so in-depth and so amazing.
Let me say this. First of all, thank you. Let me tell you, how can I say? I never saw myself kind of doing this when I first started back 25 years ago. And then as people started to ask me for my bio, I started to say, oh my God, even I was impressed. I was like, boy, look at the stuff you've done. So it's really a trajectory, and you just never know where life's going to take you. But I never thought it would be this, and it is. And so I'm happy, but thank you. Thank you.
Well, you've also done a few recently new TV shows. Could you want to mention those?
Well, I did the new season of Ancient Aliens, which aired back in January. They were talking about the obelisk and Göbekli Tepe and that. But 2 days ago, and I had forgotten about it until it was someone put it on social media. We had taped an episode of America's Greatest Mysteries with Lawrence Fishburne as the host, and it aired 2 nights ago. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't watch the shows. At the beginning, I did, and even the Ancient Alien shows. And Dawn, my wife, said, "Come on, I want to see it. Sit here with me and watch it." And so I watched it last night, even though it aired Tuesday, and I was glad I did. They did a wonderful job. It's on the Phoenix Lights, the 25th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you get a chance, it's season 4, episode 5, but it's got to be streaming because it just aired 2 nights ago.
Right.
But shameless promotion on my part. But they did a great job, and I mean, this is 25 years old. 25. I remember when.
I know it seems like yesterday.
1997, and Lynn has kept us alive, and so Lawrence Fishburne, from what I hear, they were telling me on the set, he's a UFO enthusiast, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So they really did a good job with this. I know they did a show on Roswell a couple seasons ago. I did not see it, but it's another one people said you really got to see.
Yeah.
How they did Roswell. It's called America's Greatest Mysteries.
Yeah, and they definitely bring a lot more detail into a lot of these stories.
Yes, that's what I hear. So if you get a chance, whoever's watching, check it out. I have to admit, I did watch it last night, past my bedtime. I stayed up till 10 after 10. And so it's exciting. I love doing the TV stuff, but I love the live stuff because the people are right there and you get their energy.
Right.
It's a give and take.
Right.
So I'm grateful for all of it.
Well, when you spoke at our conference, that was quite the honor for a lot of people. They really enjoyed it. And
well, thanks for having me back.
They're looking forward to having you back. So
I'm looking forward to it too. And I said, oh, it's going to take so long, but my God, it's already March.
Yeah, and I think they really enjoyed your take on the experience and how it
the spirituality of it, which is what you guys are about.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why we wanted you to speak at the Michigan UFO Contact.
It's beautiful.
You speak on all of it that everybody needs to hear.
Yeah. I mean, the Bible thing, I was talking to my colleague, Barry Downing. I'm supposed to talk to him tomorrow, but I don't know how to set up a Zoom link. Don't laugh. But
I'm not gonna laugh. I don't either. So
I got to call. But he got me started because he was the one. He was the first minister I know who wrote a book. He's not an experiencer. He's 84 years old now, but and after my experiences, he got me going with his books. I read everything I could. There were a couple other clergy people. Who was it? Reverend Virginia Brasington. So we had some female energy in the conversation who was from right here in Asheville, North Carolina. She wrote a book called UFOs in the Bible. Morris K. Jessup, who died under mysterious circumstances, wrote a book called The Bible and Flying Saucers. There are some other people who were not religious professionals, clergy, but they tackled the subject. And so it gave me the courage to talk about it. Plus, I was an experiencer. I am an experiencer. And so, because as we go forward, as you know, religion, especially Christianity, but not just Christianity, but we got to talk about it. We got a lot to answer for, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of experiencer, we had discussed that perhaps this is the year of the experiencer.
I think it is. We talked about that.
Yeah, and that meaning, that it's time for people to, speak out about their experiences, because I think that's where the real disclosure is at, and that's where it's really happened.
And we need to talk about the show then.
Yeah, because so many people have, so many people are coming out, and it's amazing to find how many people have experienced.
Oh yeah,
ET contact.
Oh my God, yeah.
And so and that leads us to this show that
Yes.
I'm
a
we're
good
so
lead-in.
happy and glad that we are working with you and Bill Konkolinski, the MUFON director of Michigan, and Mary Bassett, who her idea of this show brought us into it.
Yeah.
And she is the regressionist spiritual medium for MUFON here in Michigan, and she's done a lot of cases. And so what we do is she's got permission from these people that she records to
Well, she regresses.
regresses
them.
Yes,
the regression.
and records regression, and we as a panel get to discuss it, and because we all of us are experiencers too, and so it's a different show. I think we're on the brink of something a little different, and I'm excited about it. And it airs on Friday at 8:00, and so tomorrow you'll see I think it's our fourth show.
Yes.
Yes.
We shoot them in episodes, like we record 2 or 3, and then
Right.
we air them on Fridays, and then we record them again the next week. It's like
Right.
it's like a TV series.
Exactly.
We record the episodes and then we air them. So, listeners, if you get a chance, really take a look at it. It's really exciting.
Yeah, it can be found it's on my Facebook page on Facebook, of course, and on Voices of Contact on Facebook.
Yeah.
I know that, Michael shares it. I put it usually on RJ's Facebook. Bill Konkolinski shares it, and Mary, of course. And it also airs on YouTube on Mystical Awakenings podcast, same place this show is. But, the beauty of the way the show came together is one thing I really love about it. Mary was on her way to work and just got downloaded with the information that this needs to be done. This needs to be out there for the people, for experiencers, for people who don't have anyone to talk to or think that, they're crazy. And she knew exactly. She was downloaded with the information on who to contact. And that was you, Michael, first off, and Bill and RJ and I. So, and I think that our group, those of us together, fit so well together. And it's like every person has a little different take on things that come out of the regressions.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. We touched on it last night. RJ, you just mentioned it. I think 2023 on, because not only do I think it, I feel it, because there's a little more transparency, for lack of a better word. The government is talking about it. People don't snicker about it anymore when you bring it up. And, all these years we've heard from so-called experts and, people, psychologists, but these are the people who have had the experience, and so they're telling their own stories.
Right.
And we need all that other stuff. We do. We need all those other voices, but usually the people having the experience is kind of put on the back burner.
Right.
But we have kind of jumped over that or sidestepped it, or we just intentionally said, hey, this is going to be for experiences about experiences. So if any of you get a chance, please, it's an hour. If you don't like it, you'll flick it off, but it's worth a try.
Yeah, and I want to say that I've talked to you about this and Deb, and that I was really concerned that it was so much, it wasn't the government that was going to have a problem with it. I was concerned that maybe the extraterrestrials were, because we're not only are we hearing the experiencer, but we're getting more information about who these beings are, who these people are.
Right.
And so they probably have a say in it too. You know what I'm saying? But it seems to be going well, and maybe this is what is meant to be. So I believe it is. Yep.
Yes. And I'm sorry, Deb, you were going to say something.
No, go ahead.
No, I was thinking about what you just said. It just triggered something, RJ. whether it was Dolores Cannon or not just Dolores Cannon. I mean, I think some of Bud's stuff. Usually, if the star folks have an issue, they will block that out. It wouldn't get talked about.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But I've read about some regressions where either a voice would come through, or just someone, or the experiencer would say, "I can't talk about that," or it would just be blocked. It seems like, if I'm taking a message to the powers that be, and they're not getting it out, then you take it to the people.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening, where people are coming out and saying, I need to talk about this. And I'm pretty sure at least some of these star folk are aware of that. And so the message gets out.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't stop an idea whose time has come. You just can't.
Right.
You can delay it.
Yeah.
You can delay it 70 years. But eventually, it's going to come out. And I think that's what we're seeing now.
Mm-hmm.
And from 2023 going forward, I think you'll hear a lot of people just saying, I'm coming out and I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
And I don't care.
And there may be more people.
Courage. It takes courage to do that.
Yeah. There may be more people that want to get regressed now too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It triggers a lot of stuff,
yeah.
But people do it now and when I was coming up, I would never do this. Not say never, but I'd be very careful because I could lose my church. I could have lost my job.
Right.
And then you get to a point where you just say, I don't care. But it does take some courage to do it.
Yeah. And many people are worried about losing their families and their friends.
Yeah.
We hear so often people say, that's something I can't talk about.
Yes. But they can talk about it on our show.
Right.
And so that's the beauty.
Yeah. And Michael, do you feel that experiencers coming out as of this year is becoming almost a normal, common thing?
Yeah, I think, was it Nietzsche that nothing is as powerful as an idea whose time has come? I think it was Nietzsche. But or Victor Hugo. But anyway, the point being is that now it's perfect. 25 years ago, I couldn't say what I was saying, even though I was saying some of it, but because the timing wasn't right. People weren't ready to hear it.
Right.
So it's always, and if you're going to be, kind of ahead of your time, which I think a lot of experiencers are, just by the nature of what we're saying, then you got to take the ridicule and the stuff that comes with it. It costs being a pioneer.
Yeah.
But if you live long enough to be vindicated, because the stuff that you and I have been talking about for 10, 15, 20 years, now it's commonplace. Right. Whether people agree with it or not. I mean, come on, the New York Times talks about this stuff. The Pentagon is so we just had to weather those storms. And I think it's like, what is that? The 100 monkey theory. One monkey may start washing dishes or whatever. And the next thing you know, everyone, it's the idea now is that people are coming out.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many people I know that are trying to sell screenplays to Netflix or trying to get documentaries done now because now's the time. Mm-hmm. And I think this is going to be the new norm for a while. Yeah. And I'm happy to say I remember when.
Right.
But here we are. We are talking about this now.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It's one thing like in the past to just see a ship and to have a sighting. But now, it's about who's in that ship. And they actually contacted me and this is what happened and this is what's going on. And, we want to know more, it's more about, we're seeing ships every day from people. So, but now I think it's important because I'm thoroughly convinced people will be shocked how many people have actually had contact with extraterrestrials. in some fashion or form, and that have not come out because of obvious reasons. But
yeah. What's fascinating is that I think this is why the authorities are being transparent. It's they're going slow, because one day someone's going to take a picture, right, with this, and they're going to take a picture, and it's not going to be a balloon, and they're going to take a picture of something, and someone's going to get out of it, and you're not going to be able to BS your way through that.
Right.
You're not going to say China did it, or you won't be able to. And so I think that's why the government is really, as fast as it's possible for them, is coming out in front and still trying to control the narrative. But again, no lie lives forever, and we live in some exciting times. Concerning times, maybe even scary, but there's a lot of good stuff going on in the world as well. But as far as this topic is concerned, because I've been doing a lot of thinking about it lately. You and I talked about it a little bit this morning, RJ. Just how we got here.
Right.
From Roswell, from the crashes before, from the Eisenhower Treaty, the Grenada Treaty, which started us here. He lost control of it. The government and corporations took over, and that's why he warned about the military-industrial complex. You got Kennedy and Forrestal wanting to come clean and not living long lives.
Right.
And here we are with the government, and this all started back with that treaty. I think where there's enough fire, there's smoke. That Eisenhower did meet with them. Got technology. I'm not critiquing it. I don't know if decision I would have made. And now here we are with the secrecy, but it's falling apart. It's falling apart. And so it's exciting, it's concerning, and then that's the macro part of it. The micro part of it is where we are taking care of our part of the garden, if you will, and empowering folks. You're in Michigan, I'm in North Carolina. There are people all over of like minds coming together, because I think that's what it's going to be about, and saying, this is real. Let's support each other. Let's talk about it, despite what our government is they're still trying to control something.
Right.
That, quite frankly, can't be controlled.
And, in case there is this mass landing, whatever, I'm not counting on it, but there are people who are not ready. And people like us, we can help them transcend into this and let them know that, it's okay. This is something that's been going on for a long time. It has to happen, so, because like we talked about, everybody's not ready, but that's because they just, haven't had anybody to talk to about it, or nobody's told them. So,
well, there's never a time where everybody's going to be ready.
Right.
That's right. Impossible for all 9 billion people to be ready.
Right.
But, even when what was it, about 6 months ago, maybe, where we found out that the government was talking to certain religious people. How do we prepare?
Yeah.
And even those religious people that they're talking to, not unless they're experiencers, they're still going to follow the party line. But that's still a good thing. Mm-hmm. But it's diabolical, because it's behind the scenes and all that. But still, that's how the leaks come.
Did they contact you at all on that?
No, they didn't.
I'm telling them right now, if they're listening. But
these were people like at Princeton.
Yeah, but they need to contact you if they do.
I agree. I didn't always agree with that, but I agree. Yeah. But maybe that'll happen. But eventually, and that's probably, they know that they're going to have to be able. Religions are going to have a fit, especially Christianity. Not all religions, but a Christianity is
Yeah.
going to have a lot of explaining to do.
Right.
And when I hear from people, the first thing they ask me, 80% of the time, Reverend Carter, can I still be a Christian and believe in UFOs? Can I still be whatever I am and believe in that? And I do say yes. I used to say yes right away. Now I don't. Because what's going to happen is they're going to have to rethink, like I had to.
Yeah.
I had to. You're going to rethink, what does it mean for you to be a Christian? I don't claim that anymore. I'm not a Christian. I respect and try to put in practice the teachings of Jesus, but other folk too, Buddha, Lao Tzu. But you know, Jesus wasn't a Christian. But I used to say, of course you can, and I still mean that you can, but you're going to have to peel the onion. What does that mean? For instance, if Jesus is the savior, is he the savior for extraterrestrial races as well?
Right.
Does he have to go and die on each planet in order for them to be saved? Do extraterrestrials believe in sin? You know, these are the type of questions you have to ask. And saying, you know, Jesus was trying to reform Judaism. So it's all these things where you may come out a different kind of Christian. You may be a different Christian than what society says you do. But the unexamined faith is not worth having. So what you believed at 12 years old, you may not believe now at 60. So you're going to have to be willing to go through some changes and to risk being uncomfortable and making other people uncomfortable and see where you come out on the other end.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to say, I'm a Christian and I had this, and there people do, and they just kind of layer it over, but they don't really change anything, you're going to have a difficult time.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, it may strengthen some of the Christian beliefs. It may, you know what I'm saying? It may bring like some Jesus teachings, you know, love thy neighbor. You know, these kind of things that you know we're taught it could be strengthened. It could be.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I think what may happen though, RJ, and it's not contradictory to what you're saying.
Right.
When even before, well, what I find with my more Orthodox Christian brothers and sisters is that when you and I and Deb, and when we talk about, you know, there's wisdom in Buddhism, there's wisdom here. Buddhism is older than Christianity. Hinduism is old. Well, you know, and Buddha's saying the same thing. And some of the things he said 500 years before Jesus. When we start talking, and that's historical, this is not some woo-woo stuff.
Right.
What happens, it makes most, maybe not all, Orthodox Christians nervous, because what they're hearing is, and maybe what I'm saying is, Christianity is not unique. There are traditions before Christianity. And so that makes anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, well, because it does. And so you're the heathen, you're the devil, but because what's happening is a lot of people say, yeah, there's other religions, but Christianity is the religion. Wink, wink. We accept the other little religions, but we really know. And that's simply not true. Right. And so what the UFO phenomenon can do, and it doesn't have to, I mean, I was doing this before I was contacted, is that you start saying, wait a minute, there's certain truths in all of this. And maybe certain things make more sense in Buddhism than they make in Christianity. I know that happened with me. I couldn't get with the God who was punishing, and you can kill babies, and you know, you got to be circumcised. And, you know, I was like, what kind of God cares whether I'm circumcised or not? What kind of God cares?
Right.
You know, and I'm angry, and, you know, you go there and take their land, and, you know, I'm not trying to make fun of that. Right. I'm just trying to say, is that really what I want to be about?
Yeah.
And then when ancient astronaut theory came along, wait a minute. That started making sense to me. Maybe Yahweh is God like, because he had all that technology, but he had an anger management problem. Okay, maybe Krishna, because he was blue and they talked about the blue God, well, maybe they had some other extraterrestrials over there. That's what opened it up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it made me think that it really is just about love, whatever you want to do, but that's not the love I want to. Yahweh's not the one that I want to be following. Now, someone else can follow him, because remember, there's no Jewish religion without the Exodus.
Right.
So it just you start peeling the onion.
Yes.
If you read Jesus's teachings, Jesus may have been talking about another God besides Yahweh.
Right.
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 He may have been.
Michael, would
Go
you
on,
like
Deb.
to address the question on the screen here? I think it's very interesting. Great question. What about the demonic narrative that has been circulating for a few years now? How will religious leaders deal with contact?
Well, that's what I was just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, let me start with the end of the first of all, the religions that leave room for deities, Hinduism, they have different deities. Okay, Catholicism will be okay because they have different saints and what have you. It's the monotheistic religions that say this is God and there's nothing else. Then how do you account for these extraterrestrials? You got to at least be open that maybe they were angels.
Mm-hmm.
You got to at least be open to that. An angel just means messenger. And if you notice, nowhere in the Bible does it say these people had wings.
Or that they're not blue.
They just flew.
Yeah.
Now I'm not now for other brothers and sisters out there, I'm not saying the angels don't exist.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that nowhere in the Bible does it say they had wings. So I think that Christianity will have the most explaining to do. I think Jehovah's Witnesses will be okay. I think obviously Buddhists, Hindus, Catholicism will be okay. Now, the demonic thing, there are layers to that, but it's fear-based.
Yeah.
Because I grew up that God is supposed to be all that, as the young people say, but I kept hearing more about the devil than God. And it made it seem like the devil, like there was a big scoreboard, God 3, the devil 6. There was so much focus on the devil. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, if God is God, then is the devil that powerful? I'm just saying. So I found for myself that that's just that's what, as far as UFO stuff goes, I find out when people are afraid and they don't understand something, they label it demonic.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
My sister, who I'm close with, she's evangelical Christian. When I do energy healing work, she always says, well, where's Jesus and all that? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's the same thing, but what's the big deal? But if I don't say Jesus, she gets really anxious. And how do you know it's not from the devil? The devil can do that too. And then I try to flip it. I try to say, well, I try to use what Jesus said. Well, if you don't believe me for what I say, look at the works that I do. I'm not hurting anybody. But that's not good enough either. She does the Shakespeare thing from Hamlet. She doesn't say it this way, but Shakespeare says it, the spirit I've seen may be the devil, and the devil had power to assume a pleasing shape. So it's no pleasing her. So we just don't go there.
Yeah.
But usually if I don't understand, and lastly, Deb, in the West, we're taught that there's black and there's white. There's good and there's evil.
Mm-hmm.
There's no middle ground. And that's why I gravitate more towards the Eastern religions. Like if you look at the Taoist symbol, you see there's a little dark in the light and there's a little light in the dark. And that's what life is. But it's easier just to say, well, if it's not Jesus, that's bad. Right. If they're all gray, they're bad. If they're all reptilian, they're bad. That's the way we've been raised in the West on dualism. There's
Right.
no middle ground. What I
Yeah.
like to do is to say, of course, there's gray. Life is mostly gray.
Right. Right.
And as far as that
No pun
contact,
intended. No pun
that
intended.
contact of religious leaders, there's a lot of information out there if you look for it that a lot of religious leaders have been contacted by extraterrestrials. I was the guy that Brigham Young, who was going out west.
The Mormon guy. Well, he started
But
Mormonism.
he got contacted in the east before he got out west, I think, by
By Moroni. He said the guy's name was Moroni.
Yeah. So anyway, there's accounts like that.
No, you're right. Well, Christianity, Judaism, they to me, Islam, I talk about in my book.
Yeah.
They were started. I don't know. I can't say it's that Star people did it on purpose, intentionally, but there's these three religions, one could argue, were extraterrestrially inspired. I mean, you've got Jesus being visited, and angels are coming. You got this ship or a star. You can go there. I mentioned that there's no Jewish religion until the Exodus. And what are they doing? They're following the pillar of cloud by day, pillar of fire by night. It feeds them. Yahweh's there. Gabriel comes to Muhammad while Muhammad's in the cave praying and meditating and saying to him, recite. So you have these celestial beings, but we could do it today.
Yeah.
If I wanted to, which I have no desire to do, I could start a UFO church. Right. I could say, because I've been visited,
right?
And so I got these answers, and my church would be packed. Religions are started that way, and that's not always healthy, because things get distorted and what have you. But we could argue Christianity and Judaism and Islam, the three monotheistic religions, were started by off-planet intelligence.
Yeah, and I think that that's the case. that really the spirituality, the beliefs were started from extraterrestrials, but I think the people are the ones who messed it up. They took it like it.
Yes.
They took it and turned it into something totally what it's not supposed to be, and for the betterment of themselves, whatever. So. But I think a lot of those spiritual beliefs are something that's handed out throughout the universe. And unfortunately, I have to say they get messed up along the way, and we have to correct it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if I look at, what Zachariah Stitchin was talking about, and, with Anunnaki, let's say, okay, and so they come and they rule. And I'm not saying all extraterrestrials are Anunnaki and they all had the same thing, but they were having problems on their planet. They needed the gold accordingly. And so they have their ups and downs. Anil and Enki can't seem to pull it together, and he wants to drown them. And okay. And then what they do, for whatever reason, is they say, we need to get off this planet. Okay. For whatever reason, it's getting old, we've impregnated everybody. I mean, we've carried on. So then they pick certain human beings, high priest, what have you, and then they leave.
Yeah.
And you know how human beings do. We get a little power.
Yep.
We start acting a fool.
Yep.
Right.
And the people, they put Michael in power. He's got his little breastplate on, his crystals, and
you got to kneel down to me.
Yeah. Deb did a reading, and RJ did this. We need to be they were chosen by the gods. And then we get a little full of ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we start, and then the next thing we get corrupt. They're worshiping us. We're getting money. We're getting everything. I mean, it gets corrupted.
Yes.
And that's what I hear you saying. I want to go back to something we said earlier about Year of the Experiencer. If the government wanted to, if they wanted to kind of shut it down, they could always say, Deb, RJ, Michael, love what you're doing. Wonderful. but you're contactees, right? Oh yeah. Well, we're going to have to quarantine you because you've been exposed. I mean, you've been exposed to stuff. I mean, they could go there.
They could say it's
They
a threat to national
This
security.
is a national security risk.
Right.
I know you don't mean any harm, but, and so those little nefarious things like that, I think about at times if it really got out of hand.
Yeah.
Because, we're saying openly, and they could probably regress us and whatever, lie detectors, and they would say, boy, these people, this is the real deal. But, we need to kind of walk this back a bit. But that's why I say it takes courage to be an experiencer and to be public about it. Not just because you could lose your job and what have you, but because, in the name of national security, you can do anything.
Anyway,
that's a little caveat. That was just a little footnote. Didn't want to be a downer. I meant to bring it up later. Early.
But to be honest with you, I think the people that would have a problem with it are the people that understand that knowledge is power. Not so much the great people in the world. They're probably loving that it's happening, but certain people don't want it for personal reasons. That's all I want to say about that. But
I get that. But I'm saying, but those, if they have the power,
yes, they have the power.
Those are the ones who can make your life miserable.
Absolutely.
I get that.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, so it's always there's always pros and cons.
That's right. But we're going to keep on doing it. We enjoy it, and we think it's very important. Like we said, the year of the experiencer, and this is how it begins, and this is how it starts. And very excited about it. We hope you tune in because you don't get to hear this stuff. I mean, you don't get to hear people's regressions. You don't get to hear their contacts, other than maybe Michael coming out or us coming out and talking about it. But and even then we don't, we just, it's a lot deeper than what it sounds like, for sure,
Right.
Because it's very spiritual for one thing. It changes you, like this book that you wrote. People, you want to find out if you've had experiences. He names.
You got to turn it over.
Oh, he names several.
Thank you, Bill.
Categories that will help you decide if you're on the fence that you are an experiencer, because you become a certain person. You are a certain person. And things, you feel a certain way about things when this happens to you.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I meet people and they say they're not an experiencer, and they may not be. I'm not going to make a blanket statement, but I just hold on. I'm answering someone. They want to know my website. My website is michaeljscarter.com.
Okay.
But they're so into this. They're so into the UFO reality that I wonder. I'm like, are you sure you're not experienced? Now I know, like when John Mack was on the planet, John Mack said that he was not an experiencer. So I know there are people but as far as I know, when Bud wasn't, Bud Hopkins, but there's some people I meet. But here are some of the indicators. Yes, that's my thing. So I break it down into beliefs, physical indicators, and spiritual indicators. Not an exhaustive list. So I'll just give you some. If you have an interest in UFOs, any interest, an idea that they exist, if you believe in other dimensions and that there's intelligent life in other dimensions, if you have this longing, I did this thing about ancient history, metaphysics, and the so-called assault. Woo! First day with the new lips. A cult. Where's the salt from? I haven't even had my glass of wine for the evening. Okay.
That's the problem, Michael.
I know I have to do it later. I should have done it now.
Yeah.
If you have these thoughts or dreams or whatever about impending earth changes and changes in society, if you're always questioning the status quo, if you have this yearning for justice and and equality. If you have a feeling that the earth is not your true home,
Right.
that you just know that I'm coming from somewhere else. If you believe that there's more to life than what we're being told, you know, sudden changes in your lifestyle. You could be working on Wall Street and all of a sudden you want to do massage therapy.
Right.
or all of a sudden, you know, I'm a vegetarian now. Whatever it is, those are some of the beliefs. Those are beliefs. Your physical indicators are obviously dreams or nightmares about other worlds and strange beings. If you have precognitive or clairvoyant kind of things going on, if you dream you're meeting other people in your dreams, you're levitating, dreams of flying, if you're healing or being healed, dreams are about telepathy, memories that don't quite fit the facts of your childhood. Obviously, if you're waking up with marks on your body that you didn't have the night before, you need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Unexplained pregnancies, aborted pregnancies. You've read the data. Women said, man, I haven't made love in 30 years.
Right.
I'm being facetious, 3 years. And then you're pregnant.
And all of a sudden, 4 months later, you're not.
You're not.
Yeah.
And doctors have you know,
Yep.
documented this kind of stuff.
Right.
If you feel downloads, all of a sudden you're feeling more intelligent. Your hair and nail grows faster. You get by on less sleep. You don't need a lot of sleep. Nosebleeds, blood on your pillow when you wake up in the morning, especially as children. That's what I had. You know, maybe there's an implant or something going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then the spiritual indicators. Now, that's not an exhaustive list. You may come up with some other things. All of a sudden, you know, that religion doesn't work for me anymore.
Right.
I don't think that way anymore.
Right.
I broadened my I've expanded my lifestyle. I've expanded my beliefs. If you have an intense desire to study archaeology, comparative religions, which is how they hooked me in, a desire or belief that humankind can ascend to a more advanced state of consciousness, a more evolved spirituality that includes technology. Last but not least, if you have an intense desire to serve.
Yeah.
That I'm not chasing money around, I'm not chasing sex, I'm not chasing all the booze and alcohol. I want to serve. These are all indicators that you may have been a contactee. Now, you can have those and not be, but those are the things you want to look at. Obviously, the physical marks and stuff like that, but those are the things you want to look at.
Yeah.
And then under those rubrics, there are probably thousands, millions of people who may have had contact, not counting the people who have that anyway.
Right.
You know, and I'm a firm believer that a lot of us are not from here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think we know that. And some of us might be sent here to bring forth the message, as like you and us to.
Well, we're doing it.
And Mary, hi Mary, I saw you on there. So
yeah. Is Mary here, Mary?
Yeah, she said hi. Yeah.
Mama Mary.
We love Mama Mary.
Yeah, she's
great people listening tonight.
Yeah.
Mama Mary started the show, but
we love all of you. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Mama Mary got the downloads, and Michael, you brought up downloads about Voices of Contact. This show you have to do this. You have to get permission to air some of these regressions and bring people in. And these are the people that you bring in to talk about them on the air. So that was a download. And I can tell you right now, the Michigan UFO Contact was a download. Some of us do these things because that information is put there. There was no thought to it. It just comes out. Downloads are definitely a big indication, especially when it's something like that. And, you know, Mary herself has said, well, you know, I don't know if I've really had contact, but, you know, I channel them. Well,
that's contact.
What I'm learning, Michael, and I'd really like to hear what you have to say about this is when someone comes to me and says, I don't know if I've had contact. I think I might have had contact, but I don't know if I had contact. And they're spending all this time thinking about this, trying to figure it out. More than likely, I feel they've had contact. Or they're not.
I would say it's worth exploring. I like it that people don't go there immediately.
Right.
Because you got to have, and I'm just going to say this. The UFO community, whatever that means, it's a hackneyed term. It's like spirituality, the word spirituality. It draws a lot of people, but it also draws a lot of people who are fringe because of that need to belong.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes you hear people's stories and you go, but I'm never going to tell someone, I don't know.
Right.
But because of that, and because a lot of discredit came to our community, because we did have people on the fringe, and it made it more wacky, and it made it easy to discredit people.
Right.
So I find it a healthy case of discernment when people just don't come and go, I've had contact and da. I'm trying to unpack it.
Yeah.
But like you said, if it's on your mind, you want to look at it. And if you can find a good hypnotherapist to be regressed, or if you can call Deb and RJ, call someone in your area. In the book, I put a few people who I know are still doing work with people who had contact.
Right.
But you just need to be affirmed.
Yeah.
Just so someone can hear you and not laugh at you and make fun of you. Listening can be very healing. How many times have you listened to a friend and they were going through something and you really didn't say anything, and then they finish, "Hey, RJ, boy, I feel good, man. Thanks for talking to me. Hey, you didn't do anything. You just listened, but that was enough. I feel it's significant. I feel affirmed."
Right.
It's
I think
healing.
we're down to less than a minute, but okay, thank you.
Oh my God, are we done?
But I know. It goes so fast. We'll have to do it again. But everybody tune in tomorrow night.
Fifth dimensional talking.
Yeah,
Good
time
Lord.
doesn't exist. Tune in tomorrow night for Voices of Contact with Reverend Michael Carter, us, Bill Konklowski, and Mary Bassett.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock on either Facebook, Voice of Contact, Mary's page, my page, Michael's, or YouTube, Mystical Awakenings podcast. So, go. The night went so fast.
Thank you, Kathy.
Kathy.
Thank you.
And honestly, we have had some wonderful, I clicked over a few times. We've had some wonderful people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll do it again. We love having you on.
Love you, bro.
We really
always
do. And can't wait to do it
anytime I can do it. I like to kick it, and we can talk about anything.
Because we had a lot to talk about.
We do.
We can talk about the state of the world. We can talk about getting together again. Let's talk. I mean, we want to interest the people.
Absolutely.
I know y'all got something to do in the morning. Mama Mary, everybody, be safe. Don't let them take away your joy.
That's right. That's right. We love you all. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a fantastic weekend and week until we see you again. May all of your awakenings be mystical. Good night, everybody.